Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of To Mulligan or Not Mulligan, where we basically take our decks and practice our starting hand mulligans. And so today we are going to be using Dalton's Ruby Sapphire tournament deck, and he's going to walk us through what he has in it and maybe why he has certain cards in there, and then we're going to just start practicing our mulligans. So, you want to take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. So the deck list we're going to pop up on the screen right here. And so Ruby Sapphire is, I think, a really powerful deck generically. It has a lot of really strong cards. It's really good in the mid-range and other ramp mirrors. And the one place where it can fall short is the aggro matchup. It is not very good against the turn 1 Curse Merfolk. So in this deck list, you'll see that I have 3 Queen of Hearts in there. Well, I'm going to tell you, I would just exnate the Queen of Hearts as a whole going forward. It just does not work out how you would want it to. You're losing the ink essentially from playing the Queen of Hearts onto the board, but you're also having to discard a card from challenging the Merfolk. So you're kind of losing like 2 cards in that exchange. And it just doesn't feel very good. It slows them down, I guess, a little bit, but they usually can follow up with that other discard after that, and then really not having that ink or that card to discard can be pretty detrimental. So I had 3 in this list. I'd probably just cut those. Some other kind of tech cards, Judy Hopps, I have 2 of those just to help deal with other lucky dimes, but also maybe snipe a Fishbone Quill in some matchups. And it's also nice that it can kind of be like a mini Flaversham later in the game where you just play it, get rid of one of your items, usually a popsicle, and then you get to draw a card. So that having that versatility is really nice. For Medusas, it is just the best removal character in the game.
It's so good.
Maybe better than Maui, which is not something that I thought it would be, but it's pretty close. 1 Tremaine to that helps out against the other Sapphire matchups when they have a Tamatoa or a Maleficent or a Cogsworth and play and not much else. You can Lady Tremaine that away. 3 Bells. I think Bell is just one of the better finishers in the matchup. Just being able to play a Bell and a Lucky Dime and activating it on the same turn is really good. Of course, you have to have like 14 ink to do that, but this deck can definitely get there. Mm-hmm. 1 Shield of Virtue. When I take out the Queens, I'm probably going to go up on Shield of Virtues. I'll probably also go up on 1 How Far I'll Go because I only have 3 of those as well currently. So that's the deck. Kind of what we're looking for is turn 1 Popsicle, turn 2 1 Jump Ahead, turn 3 Flaversham. That's just the best curve you can get, and I mulligan very aggressively so that I have the best chance of having that really powerful draw. And we'll probably see that as we go through our mulligans. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and get started. Decks are shuffled. And let's draw 7.
So let me ask you this, because since I'm unfamiliar with your deck and I don't play Lady Tremaine, mm-hmm. When you said that it deals with their Cogsworth, is it because when you're playing her, the text is that they have to choose their own character, and because even if it's the only one and it has ward, that they still would have to choose, it kind of goes above the ward?
Yeah, they're choosing that the sucks. Character to banish.
That sucks if you're playing Cogsworth.
Yeah, I'm not the one that's targeting it like Medusa says, so because they have to choose, if that's their one character, they have to banish it. Alright, so
interesting.
In the dark, not knowing what the matchup is, I would probably keep Developer Brain, Flaversham, and Fishbone Quill. Flaversham is just the best card, so you want to play that as much as possible. Fishbone Quill, when you're playing a deck with, well, I have like 20 or 21 uninkables in my deck. Playing a deck with that many uninkables, that helps you. For one, it generates a lot of ink, but for two, it turns cards that you might not normally use in that matchup. For example, if I'm playing against the mirror, I might not want this Be Prepared. I can just turn that into an ink, and that's really good. And then Develop Your Brain. The reason why I want to keep Develop Your Brain is because that gives me a little bit better chance at finding one jump ahead on turn 2. So I could get rid of the Develop Your Brain, and that would see one more card in the opening hand. But if I keep the Develop Your Brain, that will let me see an additional card on turn 1. So it digs me one card deeper to the one jump ahead. So
That makes sense.
we're going to throw away those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 cards here. The first thing I would probably do is just ink the Maleficent and play a Develop Your Brain. We didn't hit one jump ahead, which is unfortunate. We do have another Flaversham. So that would be turn 1. Turn 2. Probably inking the Queen of Hearts just because it is not good. Again, gonna Develop a Brain. At this point, I wouldn't be looking for one jump ahead, just because I should have shuffled these back in, but I wouldn't be looking for one jump ahead at this point because it's a little too late. I would probably be looking for popsicles. So didn't get a popsicle, I'd take the Bell. Again, it's just the most generically powerful card. I don't need Judy this early a lot of the time, and I already have the Flaversham to combo with my own items. So that hand didn't turn out to be spectacular. That's okay. Sometimes you don't have the best hand, right? And you gotta learn to play with those. Turn 3 would have just been Quill, ink something, and then turn 4 would have been just probably Flaversham, banishing the Quill, and going on from there. So it is really important that you do find your Flavershams in most matchups, pretty much every matchup, because you're trying to ink a lot, and because you're using so many of your resources on inking, you need the card draw in order to basically out-grind your opponent and actually have stuff to do with all the ink that you're generating. So if you don't find the Flaversham, then a lot of the time you just end up not really doing a whole lot, which is the reason why we're running Tamatoa. The Steel Sapphire decks, they run a whole new world, so sometimes they can get by with not having Flaversham if they have the Quill, because they can just ink a ton, play a Bell, ink more, then they whole new world, and their hands refilled. We don't have that luxury, so Flaversham is even more important for our deck. Alright, let's get into the hand too. Alrighty. So, this is a hand that is just all bricks. Yeah.
This is a hand.
This is a hand. This is one of the hands of all time. We're just going to get rid of every single thing here and draw 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There's your Flaversham.
6, 7.
Popsicle.
Flaversham, Popsicle. This is a situation where we just ink Maleficent, play a Popsicle, and then on turn 2 we're just going to play another Popsicle unless we draw one jump ahead probably. So let's see how that plays out. Ink Maleficent, we have a bunch of expensive cards in the deck. We probably don't need another one. Play a Popsicle, draw a Tamatoa. Again, on our turn 2, we drew the one jump ahead, so we got kind of lucky, but we mulligan specifically so that we have a better chance of finding it. So one jump ahead into Flaversham, and we're kind of off to the races.
Scary. for me.
It's not that.
I don't know.
It's not that bad for you. That was the thing.
You know, as long as I can start off mine pretty aggressively, but if I don't, then I know that I'm going to be more behind than what I should be, and your deck thrives for that. Your deck wants that elongated time, and that allows you to just come back out of nowhere. So there's your one jump.
All right, so here we have one jump ahead, Fishbone Quill, and a bunch of cards that aren't good early. I might keep the other Fishbone Quill. For one, it's ink. For two, if I get a Flaversham, then it's just another card I can banish the Flaversham to draw cards. So I don't mind keeping that. We'll get rid of the other four. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey.
So drew another Quill. Definitely ink that. Play Developer Brain on turn 1. We're looking for Flaversham. We don't need the one jump ahead. Obviously, we already have one. We're looking for Flaversham and Popsicles early. So ink a Quill. Play Develop. And I would probably just take the belt because it's the one that generates the most ink out of the two. Lucky Dimes, too slow to have in your opening hand. So that would be the first turn. Second turn, probably inking the Maui, playing one jump ahead. And then on turn 3, a little unfortunate. I would just play the Quill, probably ink the Medusa. No. I'd probably ink the Quill with the Quill. And then you exert the Quill, they ink the Quill, play Develop Your Brain. And, well, we didn't find Flaversham. Sometimes that happens. I would probably just take the Be Prepared so that I could play that in the following turns. We're not applying any sort of pressure, so we need to be more defensive, and that's where Be Prepared comes in. So at least that was a good find given the hand. And it looks like we inked a Flaversham with our one jump ahead.
It's the risk you gotta take, I guess.
It is the risk you gotta take. It's random. It happens.
Now, as someone that is playing Sapphire, do you ever end your game where, you know, when the game's done and you're picking up your cards, do you ever look to see what might have accidentally, or do you feel like that's just setting yourself up for, especially if you lose, I guess?
It's just setting yourself up for disappointment,
okay.
Really.
See, I would be tempted.
So, if I go through a lot of my deck and I'm like, man, I just needed that one dime. Did I ink that with my one jump ahead, or I'm not playing Mickey's, so you pretty much know what I ink all the time unless I play one jump ahead. Mm-hmm. How far I'll go, I'll see. Whether it's Fishbone Quill, I'll see those, obviously. So, unless I'm most of my way through my deck and I didn't see a card, Lucky Dime usually. Yeah. Did I happen to ink one of those two? I try not to look, though, because it's not going to make me feel any better.
Probably will make you feel even worse than if you were to just not.
And it's if it's not there, then I'm like, well, I think I kind of got unlucky not drawing my Lucky Dime 50 cards in my deck. But that's just a risk you got to take, though, sometimes. One jump ahead's a really good card. Sometimes it inks something you wish it wouldn't. All right, so we have Developer Brain, Popsicle, Quill, and a bunch of other stuff. Again, I'm going to keep these 3 and throw away everything else. Mm-hmm. You want to keep Quill because it's just one of the better ways to generate ink. And you want to keep Popsicle, obviously, to combo with Flaversham. And I really want to develop your brain so I could find Flaversham or one jump ahead if we don't find it. Luckily,
you mulligan to both.
Luckily, we found both. So this is the start that you want. I'd probably just ink Maui, play Popsicle. Next turn, we're just going to probably ink the developer brain, play one jump ahead. Right, and then we would draw another Maui, ink the Maui, play Flaversham, and we have the best draw possible.
Would you then do Flaversham first, then do your quill after? At that point, what would you do with your... At what point would you play the quill unless you ink... Would you ink both of them then?
So, if I'm going against a pretty aggressive deck, then I might quill first, just so I can get up to be prepared ink quicker, and then obviously the Flaversham can let you draw that. If I'm going against the mirror, usually I'll just play Flaversham, so I have the most cards in my hand, and that'll help me make better informed decisions in the mirror. So that's generally how I play it.
Okay.
And I think we got one more, right?
I don't know. I lost track. That might have been...
Yeah, that was 4.
Okay.
5, 6, 7. This is a full mold of 7. Full mold of 7. So one thing with this deck is that you have to be prepared to just throw it all the way, because you get hands with a bunch of really expensive cards and a bunch of uninkable cards. That's kind of the price you pay when you play this deck. You will have some inconsistent starting hands because you don't play that many cheap characters. You play a lot of uninkables, so you just gotta be willing to throw it all away sometimes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So much better. Basically, we would go Popsicle, draw a card, probably ink the shield first. The next turn, we would probably ink this. No, you know what? I'd probably play the Developer Brain first. Hopefully you find, I don't know. Well, we would have found a Developer Brain, but probably ink that second Developer Brain. Pass turn 3 quill, get rid of be prepared, just because you're kind of far away from using that. And then the next turn we just play Flaversham and go ham on our Popsicle. And hope to draw a bunch of really good cards.
Nice.
So, yeah, just mulligan aggressively with this one. That's the best advice I can give you. Like, if you have a Popsicle and a Developer Brain in your hand on turn 1, and you don't know which one that you want to play first, if you don't have one jump ahead, play Developer Brain, because that will get you to one jump ahead more likely. So you want to do that. If you already have the one jump ahead, it's okay to just ink the Develop Your Brain and play the Popsicle, so you can set up for a guaranteed Flaversham draw on turn 3. If you need the Flaversham or a quill, play Develop Your Brain early, because Develop Your Brain is at its best when you know exactly what you're looking for. That's why I play a bunch of copies of my deck, because there are specific cards that I am looking for early in the game. One jump ahead.
Yeah, of course.
Flaversham. And late in the game, sometimes you need the lucky dime to close. Sometimes you need be prepared to wipe the board, and sometimes you need Tamatoa to help you close too as a big threat. So I've seen some people go down to 2 or 0 Develop Your Brains, but I think in a deck like this, when you have like really, really powerful cards in specific instances, I just want to play all 4 so I can find my Be Prepared or Flaversham as often as possible, as early as possible. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So mulligan aggressively. Know what you're looking for when you play your Develop Your Brains. If you just kind of play it and you're just not really looking for anything specific, then that gives the card a lot less value. If you can, I like to hold it for later in the game. So, yeah, if you don't have that be prep, you can kind of dig for it a little bit easier. So that's my advice with the deck.
Makes sense. But if you guys have any other decks that you'd like for us to cover, please let us know. I know we pretty much use whatever decks we personally use, but we understand that that isn't all of the decks that might be getting played right now. So if there are any in particular, let us know, send us a list. We'll mess around with it and make a video. So
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day.